Good evening. Thank you for attending the Marysville Exempted School Village Board of Education meeting. Today is August 20th. The time is 6:30, and we call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Keller?
Here.
Ms. Mabry?
Here.
Ms. McIntosh?
Here.
Ms. Shepherd?
Here.
Mr. Ferguson?
Here. Next, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, I have a motion or recommendation to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Ms. Mabry?
Yes.
Ms. McIntosh?
Yes.
Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes, the agenda is approved. Before we enter public participation, as many of you know, our immediate past board president, Bill Keck, has passed away, and we would like to honor him. Before we do a moment of silence, Dr. Howard has a few words and a video to share.
Yes, thank you, Board. Last Friday at Convocation, we shared this video with our staff and thought it was very powerful. And overall, the message is really just the amazing things and the legacy that one person that commits to public service and education and truly the impact that one person can have. And so I'd like to give thanks to our FFA staff that helped generate this video, as well as reach out to alumni. And I hope you all like it. And I think it's a great tribute to Mr. Keck.
Today, we take a moment to honor the life and legacy of Mr. Bill Keck. Mr. Keck taught at Marysville schools for 33 years and was a tremendous driving force in the success and development of not only the agricultural program here at Marysville, but of countless programs and students throughout many decades. Mr. Keck was one of a kind. In fact, the parts that made him the amazing man, teacher, educator, and community member in most situations would be pretty contradictory. But somehow, for Mr. Keck, it worked. It's what made him perfect. He was professional, but playful, always willing to take a good joke, and to be in on one was his favorite. Fearless, but cautious. Determined, but compassionate. He was grounded, but always dreaming. Content, but never satisfied. Quiet, but strong. Humble, always. In fact, he's the type of leader that many of us strive to be.
What made Mr. Keck's life one worth learning from? It wasn't the big moments. It was the small things, the everyday interactions, the quick comments, and the little nudges that added up over time. He was also real. Lessons didn't always go as planned. He made mistakes, sometimes even right in front of students. But he owned them, learned from them, and brought his students through them. And when you look back, you realize those little moments weren't so little after all. The stories you're about to hear from former students, some funny, some simple, and a few that probably weren't in the lesson plan, are where his legacy really comes to life.
Hello. Something small that Mr. Keck did that made a really big impact on me was, always the things he mentioned in passing. I remember one time we were hiking with our FFA chapter, and he kind of looks over at me as we're leading the line, and he goes, "Ryan, you're gonna live just the most exciting life." And as a high schooler who was quite unsure about everything, I needed those little confidence boosts.
One small thing that Mr. Keck did that made a big impact on me is that he always had his door open. He always made me feel welcome, that I could go to him no matter what. And in high school, I felt like that was extremely important to have somebody like that.
One thing that Mr. Keck did that made an impact on me was always stressing professionalism in everyday interactions and always looking someone in the eye when speaking with them.
Was to be open and welcoming. He was able to encourage students to come to the FFA department even if they didn't grow up in the agricultural scene.
Whenever I was in the ag shop, he would have me doing odd and end mechanical jobs. This was the spark to me at becoming a heavy equipment mechanic that I am now today.
Was be a hands-on teacher. I was his teacher's assistant, so I spent a lot of time in his ag room. That type of dedication sparked my love for agriculture and truly changed the trajectory of my life.
Is if you're on time, you're late. Your butt better be here 10 minutes before and be ready and be prepared. And you cannot move mountains without hills.
With him, success on the first try was never an expectation. He gave me the space that I needed to try, and then fail, and then try again.
He would get super excited about his subject, and he really showed how much he was passionate about it. And it let me know that, this is something that I could be passionate about, and it got me excited to learn.
To just always be checking in on me and knowing that he cared and believed in my ability to solve a problem. He would always answer my questions with questions, and that went a long way, I think, in building my confidence and ability to think on my own.
Is that even problems or obstacles that seem overbearing in life are often relatively simple if you just take the time to break them down piece by piece and just overcome them one small step at a time.
Was being direct enough in the way that he talked to you to get you motivated and also listen to him, but compassionate enough to make you trust him.
I walked into orientation to Bill Keck's Engines 1 class. He asked me what I had going on in another period. I told him study hall. He said not anymore, you're taking ag science. Bill didn't overhaul my life with one grand plan. He noticed a new kid and a new school and gave me a nudge. That push led to farm work, FFA leadership, an engineering degree, military service, and ultimately made me the person I am today. So if you see a student who needs direction, give them that nudge. That tiny push could change everything.
Thank you, Dr. Howard and our FFA alumni and our staff. I personally, Bill Keck was impactful. I know we served together on this Board of Education, and he would be here in this seat tonight if this tragedy did not occur. Many of us sign up for this job or sign up for public service or enter into education because we want to have a positive impact. And as you can see, Bill Keck had a multi-generational impact on many people in Marysville. And sometimes we had hard conversations. We went through some tough times as a board and individually, at least for me, sometimes we had tough conversations. But I never doubted his intention or where we were supposed to go together as a team. And there's a ton of respect for Mr. Keck, and I'll open the floor up for any other board members if you want to have comments. Don't feel like you need to, and then we'll have a moment of silence. All right, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Next, we will, before we enter public participation, we would like to welcome Ms. Kimberly Sharp. Dr. Howard, if you'd like to do an introduction, and then Ms. Sharp, if you'd like to approach the podium. Thank you.
Sure. Yes, Board. Kim Sharp has certainly been hitting the ground running. I know personally, we've had several meetings together, and she went around, the city to introduce herself, and so right off the bat, I know that we're going to be great partners, and I truly look forward to long tenure working beside you on behalf of our entire community. And while you're here, I just want to share, before you say a few things, is today, I don't know if you noticed, but the city of Marysville put a post out just wishing the school district a wonderful school year. And I just thought that was so classy and so appreciative. So on behalf of the entire district, thank you and the city for thinking about that and putting that out there. But I think it speaks to the type of collaborative relationship that we know we're going to have. So thank you for that.
There may be a button on and a red light. I'm sorry. There you go.
On. Thank you, Dr. Howard. I'll give this a little space. That's because this is our community together, and these are our kids together. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and to become a part of the Marysville community. I know that the school district, and all the schools are a really important part of the community, and what makes us special are the partnerships between the city, the schools, the employers, the community overall. It is what builds Marysville for the future. And I'll share personally with you, I do live in Westerville, and I have 3 boys that have been through the school district. And it's watching that video, I almost cried. That was amazing. Mr. Keck was obviously really impactful in people's lives. But I watch how my boys are all choosing a different path with education. The oldest couldn't do college for multiple reasons, his own choice. I mean, he got in, but he didn't want to do that. He ended up putting himself through the Delaware Career Center in welding, and today he's a precision machinist. My middle one just graduated from Otterbein with an engineering degree, and we'll see what happens to the 15-year-old who started yesterday at Westerville North. The thing is, they have to choose their own path. And all of those things are needed for tomorrow's workforce and for our community overall. We need the trades, we need the college educated, we need those that serve in the military. And we want them to find their own paths, and we're supportive. I believe in village parenting, very much so. So I'm here for you, I'm here for the kids of our community, and I think together we're definitely all here for our future. So I really look forward to getting to know you, and I look forward to working with you, and I look forward to working with Dr. Howard. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome to Marysville.
Thank you.
Next, it's our time for public participation. I do not believe we have anyone signed up, correct? Perfect. Next, we'll recognize Dr. Howard for our superintendent's report.
Great. Board, as you know, today was our first day of school for our students with the first half of the alphabet in grades 1 through 8. It was freshman day at both of the high school campuses. All high school students will return tomorrow along with the second half of the alphabet in grades 1 through 8. We had a great start. It was fun to see the students come in the building, engage with the staff early on. One of the things I always get a chuckle out of, especially at the younger grades, is I'm not sure who's more excited, the kids or the parents. But as a parent, I understand that too. So we're looking for a great school year. The start of the school year is always filled with lots of excitement, and it's our aim to make this school year the best school year our community has experienced yet. I wanted to share, if you recall, last month I had provided a high overview of some enrollment data for the district, and preface that looking ahead, we are going to certainly need to add some additional staff at Bunsold Middle School over the next 2 years to add a 7th grade team and then an 8th grade team. And I do apologize. The numbers will pop up later in a summary slide. But what this shows is our enrollment for the district at the end of the last school year. So we ended the year with 5,699 students. And if we advance to the next slide, I'm sorry, back one. Sorry about that, Aaron. Thank you so much. You'll see that for this school year, we have 5,741 enrolled. I'll draw the board's attention to grade 5, where you can see that at Creekview Elementary, they're sitting at 497 students. Now, this data was as of Tuesday, and so I can tell you that we continue to see enrollments daily, and I'll share students that are in the hopper, and I'll explain what that means. But to my knowledge, in talking with some staff in the buildings, that 500 mark that we anticipate we will be above in grade 5 is a new high water mark for the district. So just kind of wanted to call your attention to that, because seeing that cohort of students come through is why we're going to see a pinch in Buncewood Middle School over the next couple of years. And if you advance one more, again, this is just a screenshot of students that are in the hopper. And what that means is that these are students that have started the enrollment process with us, and we are fully caught up on our end, but there are 53 students that are still in the hopper that are being enrolled. I know that many of them were fully enrolled just today, so not every one of these 53 will follow through with enrollment, but we certainly anticipate being several students beyond where we were. And then on the next slide, if you don't mind, just as a summary, so we have 42 additional students enrolled for this school year based on, in addition to where we concluded last school year. We have 53 students in the hopper. And then I wanted to share with the board just statewide, since 2009-2010 school year, overall public school enrollment has been declining in Ohio. And so we are sort of an anomaly in Marysville in that we are certainly seeing growth that is outside of the norm. And then, believe it or not, we are having to talk about homecoming week already, because by this time next month, we'll be talking about homecoming being just the next week ahead. So I wanted to share with you, if you don't mind advancing one, homecoming parade will be held on Wednesday, September 23rd at 6 p.m. The homecoming game will be against Dublin Jerome. That'll be Friday, September 25th at 7 p.m. And then traditionally the dance is followed the game on Saturday, so that'd be Saturday, September 26th. As I mentioned earlier, we had convocation with our entire staff. It was a good, festive way to welcome everybody back, and I wanted to share with you, we had 2 classified employees of the year. The reason why we had 2 was there was an absolute tie with the committee, and so based on the rubric that was used, there was no sense doing a tiebreaker when we have 2 outstanding individuals. So they were both recognized in front of their peers on Friday, but Amy Ice is a duty aide with the Mini Monarch Academy, and Dee Dee Green is an office secretary at Early College High School. 2 tremendous employees, and so we congratulate them both, and we're glad that they're here with us in Marysville.
Thank you, Dr. Howard. Are there any questions?
One question, you talked about the population. If we look at the 5th grade, I know the previous year, or what was the 5th grade last year, was also a high water mark. Couldn't do the quick math as you were flashing through the screens, but do we see that as almost a persistent trend that we'll be approaching that 500 student mark, or is it a blip moving through the system?
Well, typically in the earliest primary grades, we will start to add students as they progress through, right? And part of that could be some families choose to do alternative kindergarten options elsewhere and then decide by grade 1 to join. If we just look at this year, I can just run through total numbers. So at kindergarten, we're sitting at 366. At the first grade level, we're at 384. Second grade, we're at 391. So you do see that they're starting to trend up, as you referenced. Third grade, we're at 416. Now, fourth grade, we're at 377, so there's a little dip there. But then you get into grade 5, we're at 497, grade 6, 461. And then we're above or right at 400 for all of the grades at the high school level.
No, thanks for Dr. Howard, and I think that's something just to call out, that we are seeing this isn't just a blip. It is a persistent trend, and especially as students maybe come back from either parochial schools or turn back to the public school system, that'll be something that we'll have to address as we go forward. So thanks for that.
Sure.
I know when we did our enrollment study with HPM, that Union County has a positive birth rate, and so we will soon see a very large kindergarten class. I don't think it's this year, but it's in the next 2 years. It looks like preschool also went up. It's at 272, and like according to last year, I think we started off at 206. So that's a significant jump too, and so that could be a leading indicator as far as what we can see next year. But definitely tight in Creekview, I guess, and coming through Bunsold. So thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, we'll move on to our treasurer's report.
Okay, for the treasurer's report, I'm going to be presenting the August financial forecast. August is not the ideal time to do a forecast because there's still a lot of unknowns. October would be much better, but we've got 2 forecasts a year, so really when we get to February, we'll be able to update some of the things that we don't know for this forecast, or if there are some major changes when we get our final real estate tax settlements or our first October foundation report, we could do an update then as well if necessary. First slide is just a high-level look at the forecast, red line being expenditures, blue lines being revenue. You can see there that expenditures exceed revenue each year of the forecast. That's what's known as an operating deficit. So fiscal year 27 is the year that we're in right now, and this year we're projecting a $6 million operating deficit. That means we're eating into our cash reserve pretty quickly. One of the main issues there, I guess two biggest issues there is House Bill 129 and House Bill 186, that property tax reform legislation, and as well as state funding decreases, and I'll get into a little more detail on those. So with that operating deficit, you can see that green line, our cash reserve is going down quickly, and we show a cash deficit in fiscal year 30. You can see in 29 we're just barely positive. That's a little over $1 million, which is well below a reserve we would want. And again, $10 million and a growing deficit after that. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail here because we've talked about it a lot, but the information is on the slide if anybody wants to look at it later. This details the property tax reform legislation, those 4 pieces of legislation that are really devastating to our future revenues and really creating likely levy cycles for a lot of districts. Biggest hit for us is 129 and 186. That wiped about $15 million out of our forecast future revenues. Looking at revenues, so fiscal year 27, we're projecting $73 million of revenue. Big thing to point out there, you can see local sources make up about 63% compared to state sources is 36%. So when I started here back in fiscal year 14, state was actually covering over half, so they were at 53% compared to only 47% local. So you can see the major shift that has occurred, and that's really put a bigger burden on our local taxpayers. On the state funding side, our state foundation revenue this year is going to be dropping $3.5 million compared to where it was at last year. And that means we've hit the guarantee for fiscal year 27, which means we're going to have basically flat funding throughout the forecast unless there's a significant change to the formula. And again, I'm going to talk a little more about that on another slide. I will point out that there is a new biennium, so fiscal 27 is the second or last year of the current biennium. So beginning in fiscal year 28, we'll have a new biennium. What that means, we don't know yet. That could mean a new formula, could mean they just continue the existing formula. We'll find out next June or July. So this slide just shows local versus state funding. The lighter yellow columns, that's our local revenue, and then you can see the red line being state, and you can see the decrease there as well as flat throughout. Fiscal year 25 was the last year of our TPP reimbursement, so that's been a significant source of state funding that now is completely gone. House Bill 129 and 186, as I mentioned, eliminated basically half of our new emergency levy right after it was passed. Total revenues are projected to grow around 2.5% on average, which really isn't even keeping up with the rate of inflation. This slide I show mainly to show the impact of the property tax reform and House Bill 129. So you can see we've had some significant increases in valuations over the years. Last year we went up by a little over 26%. And the way that would have worked under prior law is we would have also seen a very significant increase in revenues in that year. With House Bill 129, that's going to be taking us off of the 20 mil floor in 2028, which means we would be losing around $5 million per year under this new legislation. Looking at expenditures, as usual, salaries and benefits makes up the majority of our expenditures, being a service-oriented organization. Our current negotiated agreement sets raises for this year at 2.5% and 2% for next year. We currently have the fourth highest pupil-teacher ratio in the entire state, so that's out of about 610 schools. We're the fourth highest, so running very lean organization. The forecast assumes 6 new hires per year due to student growth. As Dr. Howard mentioned, with that growth we're seeing, I think that number is something we're going to have to revisit and is likely going to be, maybe as conservative, but that's something we'll be talking about as we go. Maybe the only piece of good news that will be in my entire presentation is health insurance. Right now, last year we had the 0%, which was a very significant savings. Right now we're looking, kind of doing some early estimates on the renewal, which will be coming in January. And right now it looks favorable. The forecast assumes a 9% increase, and it looks like we're likely to come in below that. So that's one piece of good news. I showed this slide just to really show the impact on our cash balance that we're having with our state funding, with the addition of preschool, with the property tax reform legislation. I know with our last go-around with the levy, a lot of times we would get feedback that, you've got this really large cash balance, why would you need a levy? And obviously the answer to that was we knew what was coming down the pike to some extent, we didn't realize as much was coming as did, but so I don't think that will probably be the comments that we get as much this time, because you can see the drop in cash balance is coming quickly and significantly. GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, recommends 60 days or 2 months of expenditures as a cash balance. Our cash balance policy is at least 30 days. And you can see there we're fine for this year, and next year we would meet our own policy of 1 month, but then in fiscal year 29 we would be down to 6 days. And then again, you'd see that deficit beginning in fiscal year 30. And sorry, if I'm going too quick, feel free to hop in if you have questions. So I know one thing that I've heard some people say is, we just passed the levy. How are we in such bad financial shape? So how did we get here? Three really main factors. One, we were forced to take over Harold Lewis Preschool. That added new expenses of over $3 million annually. And again, as we've said, that took place after the levy decision was made. Secondly, property tax reform legislation, as mentioned, that reduced projected revenues by over $15 million in the forecast. So that was devastating to the district. And then state funding. For fiscal 27, state funding is going to be reduced by $3.5 million. And then the district is on the guarantee into the future. So what does the guarantee mean? So the guarantee means that we're getting, the formula is calculating us to receive less money than what the guarantee says we will not go below. So the guarantee in the formula says you won't receive less money than what you received back in fiscal year 21. Okay, so the formula is actually saying we should be getting less than what we received 6 years ago. But because that guarantee is in place, our funding will not drop below what we received in fiscal year 21. So even though since fiscal year 21 we've grown by 600 students and there's been 25% inflation in that time, we're going to be funded as if it was fiscal year 21. We basically the same, if you go back to the forecast, look at what we received in fiscal year 21, that's about the same number as what we're projected to receive this year. And something we haven't talked about in a while, as a reminder, with House Bill 186, we also get a little bit of a double loss with that state funding. So House Bill 186 decreases our real estate tax revenue. With the way the formula works, the formula is assuming that we're getting the full amount of real estate tax revenue that we should under prior law, but we're actually not. So that formula makes us look wealthier than we are, which decreases our state share, which is hopefully something that the state legislature will look at. So another comment that I think people will see a lot is, well, just live within your means. Can't you just tighten your belt? Well, expenses are going to increase due to student growth. We're a growing district, one of the few growing districts in the state. So expenses will go up because of that. And then also everybody experiences inflation. Our electric bill went up 30% last year. We hit the $1 million mark on our electric bill for the first time. So obviously cuts can be made, but there's no low-hanging fruit. Cuts that we make will have a significant impact on what is offered to students. And again, as I mentioned, we are an efficient organization. We have the 48th lowest expenditure per pupil in the entire state. It means we spend less than 92% of all schools. And if you look at that 92% mark, to me, being part of a school, that's an A. We're getting an A on efficiency. But if you look at on the revenue side, we actually have the second lowest revenue per pupil in the entire state. So out of 611 districts, we're the second lowest, and that would be an F. So we definitely have a revenue problem. What are the solutions? So we've talked about the potential for an income tax. If you take the existing forecast and you throw a 0.75% income tax that would be passed in 2027, you put that revenue into the forecast, this is what it looks like. And really, it's not quite enough to get us there. You can see the red line of expenses versus the blue line of revenues. With a 0.75% income tax, at no point would revenues exceed expenditures. So we would still be in an operating deficit in every year of the forecast. And now these numbers are based on current Ohio Department of Taxation projections. So it's fair to assume that number is going to go up. So if I take a more aggressive approach and apply, like, for example, an 8% increase year over year, we would have 1 year where we would probably be close to getting rid of that operating deficit with the 0.75%, but only 1 year. So 0.75 would not get us there. We would be back on the ballot very soon after passing that. And so really what we've talked about with the strategy for an income tax is for this to be a one and done levy, meaning we pass one levy and we don't come back. So 0.75 would not get us there. What we really need for this to be a one and done is a levy that's enough to get us to fiscal year 34, 35. That's when a lot of the significant TIFs would begin to expire, which at that point our real estate tax revenues would begin to increase. And as I said, the 0.75 would not get us there. This shows if we put the 1% income tax into the forecast, that would temporarily close the operating deficit gap. We would have several years in a row where we would actually be growing our cash reserve. As you can see, we're still going to have a lower cash reserve than what we've had historically. We were very blessed to have a very large reserve for quite a few years. I don't see us returning to that. But again, the 1% would allow us to begin to grow that reserve, and it would allow us to get to that fiscal year 34, 35 number without coming back for a levy. But as I said, this would still require us to be efficient. This isn't going to put us to where the money's flowing and we can have those huge cash balances again. So, we're looking at that 1% income tax as we've recommended. And again, the 5-year forecast is about operations, but again, we've also talked about facilities, and we've talked about that 0.5% income tax in addition to the 1%. That would be for the facilities piece. So we talked about the recommendation being that 1.5% earned income tax. And really, one of the main keys that we want to communicate to our taxpayers is the relief that would be allowed if we were to pass a 1.5% income tax. And how would that happen? So if there were a 1.5% income tax, that would give the ability for the school to allow that 5.3 bond mills that are currently being paid to expire. That means that school property taxes would actually decrease for all of our taxpayers. So, for example, the owner of a $400,000 home would see a $742 annual decrease in their school property taxes. So that is very significant. Again, that's only going to partially offset the increase that they would see on the income tax side, but at the same time, a very significant decrease on the property tax side. At the same time, that 1.5% income tax would allow our existing 5.5 mil recently passed levy to not be renewed when that comes time to renew that as well. So again, additional property tax relief for our taxpayers. And as well, seniors on fixed income, so seniors that have Social Security or what's the word I'm looking for? Pension, thank you. They would not pay the income tax. So they actually would see an overall tax decrease. So that would be very significant for seniors. And that's all. If there's any questions.
Open the floor for questions. Any board members? Ms. Shepherd?
Thank you for putting together that presentation. When reading through the 5-year forecast, I just kept reading, oh, and then we lost this money. Oh, and then this passed, the House passed this bill, and then we lost more money. And oh, wait, maybe we should have not done that, so we'll put this thing in place that might give some districts some money back, but not ours. So I completely agree. We've done everything we can to not be in this position, and here we sit. So I appreciate all the thought and effort that went into coming up with these recommendations. When you mentioned the 6 new hires that are put into the forecast, that's just to move with our growth, right? That's not that doesn't even touch every position that we've lost up to this point.
Correct. Yeah, that's where we are now, and then assuming we're going to need to add 6 on top of that for the growth. The other thing that makes it difficult is we really see each year is depending on the needs of each of those new students we get. So there could be maybe just because of growing 5 students, we need 1 or 2 more staff because those are particularly high need students. So that also becomes a challenge.
Thank you. And I also appreciate the looking at something that's going to keep us from having to come back, because I think our community is pretty levied out. And I know it's a big ask to do this again. So it's nice to have an option that might keep us from being back here for a while. So I appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? It looks like, I guess I'll ask a couple questions because this is pretty important stuff. If you were to tell the state legislator, hey, here's when we should present financial forecast, you said October, and what would the spring date be, or the winter, like earlier in the year?
Well, if you're going in October, then there's really no reason to go right back in February. I really don't have a problem with the February forecast, but again, one of our biggest revenue source is our real estate tax. So makes the most sense is you at least wait until you've got that final settlement. So that's why October and May is the ideal time, because you've got each time you're presenting after a real estate tax settlement.
And then can you just re-explain how does House Bill 187 make us look wealthier? I'm guessing it's because it's tied to the cost inputs, but can you just re-explain that?
Yeah, so House Bill 180, is it 186 or 187? 186. Yeah, 186, I thought so. So House Bill 186, it creates property tax credits, okay? So if the formula looks at our real estate tax and assumes that we're getting the full revenue that the millage times the valuation would calculate. But there are, because of House Bill 186, there are tax credits that are involved that each taxpayer is going to be getting. And if you go onto the county auditor website, you can actually see right now what the tax credit is that you're going to be getting. So people will see that their taxes are actually going to be going down because of those credits. But what that means is we're artificially getting less revenue than we should, okay? So take that into the state funding formula calculation. When it looks at local wealth, comparing our district to every other district, it looks at what your property tax values and revenues would be, as well as median incomes. So we're already ahead of many districts when it comes to median income, and we're also growing, and property values are going up. So that's increasing as well. But again, the formula assumes that we're getting the full revenue of that real estate tax, does not take into account those tax credits. So while we're losing money on the real estate tax side because we're not getting the money because of the tax credits, on the formula side, we're looking wealthier than we really are because the formula doesn't take into account those tax credits, which decreases our state share, in essence, decreasing our state funding. And hopefully that made sense.
Well, the other thing is the state doesn't take into consideration that a massive amount of our properties are in TIF districts. Mm-hmm. That's millions and millions of dollars that the school district doesn't see.
Right.
And if we were, seeing all of that revenue, we wouldn't be in the position that we are today. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you. So from like a forecast standpoint, it looks like 87% of our general fund is dedicated to staff and benefits. Mm-hmm. So from an expenditure standpoint, because obviously securing new revenue is still a huge question mark, there's uncertainty there. When, if, what's the most in our control?
Well, obviously salaries and benefits is the biggest area we can touch to make significant change. We've talked a little bit about the one thing that we can control that's not that we're looking at right now is I mentioned that electricity bill and hitting that $1 million mark, 30% increase. So we're actually pursuing a $1 million grant that would allow us to put LED lights throughout the entire district. And then, the people that run this, they're experts. They're able to calculate, exact savings based on, wattage used or whatever. And so we would see significant savings if we're able to get that. But we won't know probably until the fall, later fall, whether we've got that grant or not. So that's one thing that we're looking at to try to save some money. But again, beyond that, you'd really be looking at cutting staff.
Thank you. In your years here in Marysville, how would you rate this financial forecast? And then my second question, as I know, in February there's a lot of uncertainty, came back in May. How close are we to the mark of, hey, this is I know we're still kind of in October. I'm guessing we will finally know for sure, but how much uncertainty is left in this forecast?
I'll answer that one first. The uncertainty that's left in the forecast is, one is that the second half real estate tax final settlement that we should receive September or October, I don't expect it to be much different because we do have a lot of information. But again, until we get the final one that we don't know for certain. But we do have those tax credit numbers. We got that from the Ohio Department of Taxation, so should be pretty accurate. State funding wise, our fiscal year 27 state funding doesn't update until October. So right now we're going off projections, but those projections come from the state. So again, I would expect those to be accurate because those come from the state, but again, until October, we don't know for certain, so that's another area of uncertainty. Other question of how does this rank for forecast? I think I could, for the last few years, I could probably say, well, this one was the worst, and then, well, now this one's the worst. So I would say, yeah, this one's the worst, and really the reason being, there's been plenty of years where you would see a looming deficit. You get out into that fourth or fifth year, maybe there'll be a deficit come, and then we've, made changes to avoid that deficit, or we passed a levy or whatnot. This is the closest the deficit has been to the current year, and also the largest operating deficit that I remember seeing. So it just makes that deficit more, or that impending cash deficit more stark and more certain.
This is probably my last question. With that, we have kind of a limited option of maybe we can look at reducing cost, but then that's going to degrade the quality of education in Marysville. Then we have securing new revenue. What's the cost to prolonging the ask, or the more time from today till when we secure new revenue? How does that put us what position does that put this district in?
Yeah, well, having such a large operating deficit really limits your choices because again, it's a $6 million operating deficit this year. That number is growing throughout the forecast, so that means that your cash reserve is being depleted so quickly that it adds a lot of urgency. And income tax, which again, based on the property tax reform legislation, an income tax is the best option, and it's going to be the option I think a lot of districts are going to be moving to because with a property tax, it's not going to grow, and we're going to be back on the ballot within 3 or 4 years, no matter what, with the property tax. In our community, again, I don't think they're going to want us to be on the ballot very often. So again, if we're going with an income tax, it takes an additional year to get up to full collection. So fiscal 27 is going to be very important because if we don't pass that in fiscal year 27, it likely knocks the income tax option out in lieu of significant cuts. You would probably have to make $5-6 million worth of cuts for that income tax option to still be on the table. And then if that were to pass, that still doesn't allow you to bring back any of those cuts. So you're talking about the district with the second highest or fourth highest pupil-teacher ratio in the entire state. That number, we'd probably have to move up to first, and we wouldn't be able to replace that. So if it doesn't pass in 27, then 28, you'd be looking at very significant cuts to do an income tax or potentially like a double-digit property tax.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yes.
Are there any, it doesn't sound fun, sorry, that was sarcastic. Are there any other questions from board members? And this will be on our agenda to vote on later.
I have one question. You've mentioned a couple times over the past couple months our student to teacher ratio. Is there a maximum or a cap that the state says you cannot exceed this student to teacher ratio?
With regard to special education and caseloads, there is, but for general, there's not. But yet, safety and security.
Thank you.
Is one thing that's important too.
Again, that number is not a number we should be happy about. No. So I want to know if we do have a backstop that we cannot exceed a certain one from a legislative standpoint.
Florida does, Aaron.
They do?
I want to say K3 is like 20. It's very low. And then the middle intermediate grades is like 24. That's something I learned in the last year that I found a bit ironic when we talk about our class sizes.
I was about to say there's few things that I look to Florida from a legislative standpoint to follow, but that may be something that we should be pushing from a State House standpoint.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate to those who are watching online or who will watch this later that it's very important to educate our residents and taxpayers about, how this funding works and how the tax dollars are spent. The budget is very, very lean. And the only place we really have to cut, because we are spending 87% of the budget on salaries and benefits, that leaves very little in everything else. And there really isn't anything to cut unless you cut teachers. And, when we say that we're spending the second lowest per pupil, that is not a lie. That is factual. And, there just really isn't much place to cut and without causing severe harm to the students. And, I'll be the first to admit I thought there was fat to be cut, and there just really isn't. And so this is going to be the best option going with income tax. Number one, I don't think the legislature can screw that up for us as they did with property taxes. And I think that this is a way that we can secure our own funding. It can't be taken away through TIFs and everything else. So this is the best viable option, and we need our constituents to understand it and get on board, and we need to do a good job of making sure that everybody's informed.
Yeah, and from a county perspective, I think I saw something about Fairbanks School District, and then I hear news about North Union like waiving fees and free lunches, and I'm just scratching my head like, hey, what's the difference? And I think they are somewhat insulated from the property tax reform because they do have an income tax, a school-earned income tax. And so obviously, even the projections from the school income tax, I'm very curious about the projections of those revenues, and are they firm? How firm can they be? But I think it does give us a good shot when it diversifies our revenue. Hopefully we bring more jobs to our community, our household income, median household income continues to grow as our population grows, and it gives us a better shot to not be so dependent on property taxes. There are cons to it, as in it's kind of pretty much everyone who is at this table, we all work, and most of us have two-person household, or two people earning incomes. We'd be paying more. However, this is our community and our school district. What quality of education do we want to provide? And everyone benefits from a public education system in their community, no matter who you are. If you go to Kroger, there are 20 to 30 high school students that go to Marysville that are working, and so the quality of their education impacts the customer service and the efficiency of that business itself, right? And so I think everyone receives a benefit. It is very difficult to explain school funding. I was just at a coffee on Saturday and trying to explain to someone, and I ask people to have patience because it is unfortunately complicated. And though I am not anti-school choice, it's almost easier for me to explain the state funding just for school choice than it is my own district. And that's kind of interesting fact that I can say, hey, here's how much you'll get if you go to Trinity, but it's very difficult for me to explain how our revenue sources are funded here. And I wish it was simpler, to be honest, because I think every kid should have an opportunity. I think, no matter what people decide, but this funding situation has to be rectified because, we are producing the next generation of citizens of families, of hopefully a productive workforce. And so, and not just a workforce, it's not all about workforce, it's about people who have critical thinking skills and good citizenship, so we can have a strong America in the future. So hopefully, we can look at the state. I don't know if the state's going to solve our problems. So eventually, what do we do in our sphere of influence? And hopefully that's the conversation we have here in the next few months. So thanks, Todd, for the great news. I appreciate it. We'll move on to our next agenda item. Matt, could you give us a legislative report, and then I'll follow back up with all right, let's do something nice, student achievement report, and then I'll come back
You're
with the
always
board
trying to
president.
skip me, Jermaine.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. So I think this is a great time to celebrate our students, especially as we're not yet sure what they're going to achieve this year because we started the school year today. I did want to mention, though, Dr. Jackson has worked very hard, our assistant superintendent, along with her team and all of our staff in our district to create some really amazing professional development opportunities for our staff that aren't just only geared at the general education staff, but other staff members in our building, our classified staff and our special education staff, which is really important because we serve all the kids, and it's important that everyone working with them has the skills they need to do that to the best of their ability. So kudos to you guys for all of the hard work that you put in, and I'm certain that our students will achieve more this year because of that. I know it's hard sometimes to come back to work 5 days before everybody else, but when the information that you're learning is productive, then it feels like a good reason to be there. So I appreciate all of that effort that went into that. So thank you.
Mr. Keller?
Yes, not a whole lot new since last meeting to highlight some recently introduced legislation. Senate Bill 463 would revise district threat assessment teams and model behavioral threat assessment plans to make an appropriation. Senate Bill 461, strengthening Ohio Civics Act, makes changes to the American Civics literacy courses offered College Credit Plus and operation of university and academic civic centers. And then House Bill 968 affects funding for ACE programs. I've never heard of that. I don't believe we have one, Dr. Howard, which ACE stands for After School Child Enrichment. But there's now an appropriation. Someone's introduced a House bill for that. One that I may have missed in my time and giving the legislative update, it did pass the Ohio House of Representatives, but it's the Future Educator Support Act. It's known as House Bill 523. Student teachers could actually receive some funding or be paid for their time in being a student teacher. They could also receive reduced tuition and fees from the university or college. And then state support could also be given. That did pass in the House of Representatives, and it's awaiting further consideration. Again, in relation to us, it's permitted. We could choose to pay them or not choose to. Giving our financial forecast, I don't know how we could pay them. Also, someone who was a student teacher, I feel like your district gives them, you give that individual probably more than they're giving you. You're both earning, if you will, but not financial earnings, growing an educator and giving back to the profession.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. For the board president report, I just always remind everyone of our board. Well, it's still called community coffee. We're changing it to office hours here soon. We did have 2 members here. It's always the Sunday before a board meeting. We're going to keep that. But we're also going to expand out into the other community. Stay tuned. We hope to have something in September just to get out and help educate. Also, Dr. Howard, can you remind us on our first Thursday Let's Talk series, we're doing AI inclusion. Is that correct? In the educational setting?
That's correct.
All right, and that's here in this room, 6 p.m. the first Thursday of the month. So if you're just wanted to say, hey, what's going on in our school district? Go ahead and schedule the first Thursday at 6 p.m. here. Show up and we'll have something for you. Leanne did a great job kind of hosting our first talk about our facilities plan, which is actually very important for everyone to know, as in this is going to be kind of our part of our community conversation and decision here in the next coming year. But AI is a trend, or not a trend, it's a tool that's being introduced in the workforce. It's currently not here in our educational classroom, but there will be inclusion, and how do we go about that is a conversation that we like to invite you all to. Welcome back to school. I know it's our first day of school for some. We will be everyone's going to be in the buildings by next Tuesday, correct? Kindergarten will be in full day on Tuesday. So we welcome everyone. I just wanted to, convocation seemed to go really well. I was there for the very start, and then I had to go back to work. But thank you, Leanne, for representing the Board of Education, and for any members who were there to greet people and hand out donuts or coffee. We appreciate that. But why are we here? Why do we do the work? It's kind of tied to our vision. So I like to always read our vision statement. Here it is. Each child at Marysville schools will be challenged, prepared, and empowered through innovation, collaboration, and inspiration. Innovation to ignite the curiosity, collaboration to strengthen their capacity, inspiration to empower their confidence and fortitude toward the future. So hopefully this meeting, discussions we have, and the work that we do here in the boardroom and outside of it helps make this vision a reality for every student. Now to the fun stuff, the business part of our meeting. We have our draft minutes from June 16th regular meeting as submitted.
I'll move to approve the minutes from July 16th.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Ms. Shepherd, second by Ms. McIntosh. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
Ms. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Ms. Mabry?
Yes.
Yes, the minutes are approved. Next, we have a recommendation to approve board policies, which include a policy about credit cards, administering medicine, and JHCD.
I'll move to approve the policies as mentioned.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. McIntosh?
Yes.
Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Ms. Mabry?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes, the policies are adopted. Next, I have a recommendation to approve a resolution for Meta Solutions to advertise and receive bids for the purchase of school buses.
I'll move to approve the resolution for the Meta Solutions to advertise and receive bids for the purchase of school buses.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
It's been properly moved in second. Discussion?
I would just note this is only basically enrolling us into the program. We'll come back later in the year and discuss how many, if any, buses we would want to purchase.
Treasurer Johnson, do we know, as we look out, how many buses we even think we need?
I don't know. We do know,
Okay.
but I don't know off the top of my head right now.
You should have that along with all of the other numbers that we make you remember all the time. No, that's fine. With the growing population, we had some conversations about that. I think transportation
There's
is going to be
two
a big
driving
issue.
factors. One, it's buses that are, aging out or,
Absolutely.
mileage, but then there's also routes. So when we have to add additional routes, that typically means we need to buy a new bus. So that's the information we'll come back to you with.
I think we've done 4 buses roughly over the years, but I know we brought some buses forward in the spring because of a good deal. So more to come. Any other questions? All right. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, the resolution is approved. Next, we have a recommendation to approve the resolution to formally name the field at Impact Stadium as Weiskircher Field.
I'll move to approve the resolution.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved in second. I'll read the resolution into the record. Whereas the board is responsible for naming and renaming all board-owned facilities which the board considers to include athletic fields and stadiums. If a facility is named for an individual, that individual must have made an outstanding contribution to the community, county, state, or nation. And the board established a committee to suggest names, and this committee unanimously voted to approve the naming of the field at Impact Stadium, Weiskircher Field. And whereas Coach Rich Weiskircher has had an immeasurable impact on the Marysville Monarch football program and the community as a whole, leading the football program as the varsity head coach for 2 decades from 1987 to 2006. And whereas he positively influenced the lives of thousands of young men, teaching them values of discipline, accountability, hard work, integrity, and leadership. And he saw the program grow from a Division III team to a Division I level and successfully transitioned the team from the Central Buckeye League to the OCC. And whereas this program has reached the state playoff 5 times, achieved an overall record of 122-80, and won OCC titles in 91, 94, 99, 2000, 2001. And under his leadership, his 1990 team went 10-0 for the first perfect season since 1957. His 91 team was the first playoff team in Marysville's football history, and his 2000 team won 13 games and made the state semifinals. Whereas he is inducted in our Hall of Fame and the Central District Hall of Fame, and he was named OCC Coach of the Year 5 times, Region 10 Coach of the Year in 91 and 2000, and the Central District Football Coaches Association Coach of the Year in 99 and 2000. And whereas naming the field honors not only Coach Weiskircher's extraordinary contributions, but also pays tribute to the Weiskircher family for their countless sacrifices, unwavering support, and dedication throughout his remarkable career. Be it resolved that the board hereby formally names the field at Impact Stadium, Weiskircher Field, to serve as a lasting tribute to his legacy and to ensure that future generations recognize the standard of excellence, character, and leadership he established. Are there any other comments or questions?
President Ferguson, if I can, on a personal level, Coach Weiskircher is one of the reasons why I entered into the education profession. Being a part of that 1994 team was very special, and we learned a lot of lessons. But I'll tell you, being a part of his 2-8 season in my junior year was also impactful, and we learned a lot of life lessons. The things that I can share, and I think anybody that played for Rich Weiskircher would say, is that he was more important than his student athletes winning in life than wins on the football field, and his teams won a lot of games. If I may, while this is a procedural necessity to have the board formally approve this as part of board policy, I know that the committee that came forward with this proposal is hoping to keep this a secret from him. His family knows, but Coach Weiskircher does not, and we're hoping that he stays off. He's not on social media as well as we know, and we're really hoping that if you are listening, would you please help us keep this a secret and not publish or share this information until after September 5th is when they're planning on bringing him in as an honorary captain and then hopefully revealing this. So this is, fingers crossed, a surprise to Coach Weiskircher, and we hope to keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing no other discussion or no further discussion, roll call, please.
Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
Ms. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Ms. Mabry?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes, the resolution is adopted. Next, we have a recommendation to approve the financial forecast.
I motion to approve the financial forecast.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Discussion. Obviously, Treasurer Johnson's presented the forecast. But if you have any further questions or anything, we can raise at this time. If not, Yes.
I just wanted to say that if anybody has questions about the forecast, that Mr. Johnson is very, very knowledgeable about his forecast and able to answer them in a way that's understandable. So if you're looking at these presentations and thinking, I'm not really sure what that means, reach out and ask, because he's very good at explaining what's going on and what those numbers mean.
And also, if you'd like to, there's a 22-page document that this forecast we are approving is 22 pages, and so you can also read through it. You can upload it to Gemini and have AI read it to you as well, or in Todd's voice, we can get that out to you. Any other questions? But no, it's very important. I do ask people to have patience and actually sit, when you ask a question, actually listen, because it is unfortunately a lot of information, a lot of different numbers, but this is very important stuff. This is what our main job is, really, is to steward the resources, to provide opportunities for our students. We have headwinds, and we have to explain the headwinds, and it's sometimes there's a lot of emotions that we are trying to tamp down to make sure we are trying to communicate the headwinds properly. I understand from a taxpayer standpoint, hey, I'm paying a lot more in taxes. Why do you need more money? I understand that, but we got to let these credits kind of roll out and really try to get past, really it's going to be a heavy lift educating everyone. But we ask for your patience and curiosity to really listen and try to understand the facts, because laws change. The game of school finance, how we fund it, has changed. And now we have to react and adapt to position ourselves. And we were probably not on a good footing when we did pass the levy. And we probably didn't ask for enough. And there's reasons why. But the emergency levy at the time was a good tool. Now it's not a good tool, or that we don't benefit as much as we're looking to benefit from it, in my understanding. So the rules of the game have changed. And also preschool. I mean, that's a fact that it's hard to communicate, but it's if I add $3.5 million to your budget and expenditures, that doesn't stay 3.5 million. It grows over time. And so it's very, very difficult to be in this position. I know we've mentioned levy fatigue. The record shows that since I think the last time there was new money was when I was in high school, graduating in 2008. And we've got new money once, and that was the last time, and it took us 3 tries. And so the fatigue has been really around one ask. We've changed the ask, but it's been around one ask. But for 17 years, is that correct? I don't know. How old am I?
17 years in between new money levies. And it's worth reminding, because I know a lot of people, it's just hard to get the information out. So I'm sure a lot of people, when they voted for the levy, whether they were yes or no, thought that, well, if this levy passes, then why should we ever need another levy again? But the communication we were putting out is that, if this levy passes, we'll be back within most likely 4 years, maybe 5 years. And that was why we went with a 10-year renewal, so we wouldn't be trying to renew it at the same time that we were going for our next levy. So as you mentioned, that levy being not enough, it wasn't enough, but that was the amount that we went for because we needed something to pass. But again, obviously, we're not going to make that 4 or 5 year mark because of the changes Jermaine just mentioned.
Thank you. So I'll stop my commentary there. And we'll call a vote. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. The forecast is adopted. Next, we have a recommendation to approve all treasurer items listed as below.
I'll move to approve all treasurer and CFO action items.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved in second. Are there any questions, comments?
Just a couple things of note. The cash flow, this is the first year of fiscal year 27, so there's no variances on there. That's just based on the current forecast that we just approved. On the other items of note, thank our local Walmart for donating $1,000 of supplies. They did the back-to-school supply drive that they've done for the last several years. And then finally, just a kind of a formality, I guess, to keep the auditor happy. One compliance thing we have to do. Each year we approve our income earned from commercial paper. So with school districts, we have very strict, limited options when it comes to how we invest our money. Commercial paper is one of those investments. To put it in the simplest terms, it's kind of like if large companies issued bonds. That's what commercial paper is. So we just, for compliance purposes, I'm showing you, here's the money that we earned on interest from that.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Are there any questions?
Well, didn't we get like $20,000 in equipment from Shriners or something?
Yes, we did. Yeah, the Shriners they offer a grant that we had applied for and were awarded that, and it was for a changing table and stairwell wheelchairs for Bunsell Elementary to be used during fire drills, but substantial. Really grateful for them.
That one just didn't make it on here yet, so that'll be on the next meeting.
Thank you to our community partners, Walmart, and the Shriners as well. All right, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, the action items are approved. Next, we have a recommendation to approve Leanne Shepard as a volunteer.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Do I just tell you that I have to abstain from voting? Hearing, by the way.
Yes. Congratulations, Ms. Shepard. You made it. The motion is approved. Next, we have a recommendation to approve all superintendent action items listed.
I'll move to approve all superintendent action items listed.
I'll second that.
It's been properly moved in second. Dr. Howard?
Thank you. Board, we have our standing HR items listed. I'm happy to report that we are fully staffed with our teachers. We have our volunteer listing. Thank you to all of these individuals. We have 2 early graduates, 1 from each high school. We have a facility use agreement. We need to approve the updated coursework descriptions and fees for both the early college high school and Marysville High School, along with the handbooks. The purpose behind this is the state is recommending for the governor's merit scholarship that their districts provide a tiebreaker in the event that there is a tie for that last scholarship that would be awarded. And in our particular case, and similar to many other districts nearby, we're using the state provided ACT test that is given to our students in-house as a tiebreaker for that. And then we also have 2 student teachers to approve. We're always grateful for them. We have a list of students to approve regarding impracticality of transportation. And then finally, there's an overnight trip listed for our boys golf team slated for September 12th.
Thank you, Dr. Howard. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, the action items are approved. Thank you. Now is comments and questions from board members. I'll start with Ms. McIntosh.
Well, I just want to wish everyone a very happy, fun, and I would say learning forward school year. I will say in our household, I think the parents were just as excited or more for the kids to head off. But truly, thank you to the students, thank you to the staff that gets the buildings ready for everyone to start. I know it is a big push as you're going up, but very excited to see what our students do this year, as well as what our teachers and all of our sports teams that I know are actively or trying to be on the fields as much as they can right now. So good luck, everybody.
Ms. Shepard.
All right, I have a lot of random thoughts, so bear with me. One, I got to participate in convocation. That's I've been around education for a long time, but that's the first convocation I've ever been to, so it was really cool to go and watch the teachers be excited, and the video that the FFA made for Bill was pretty wonderful. I know I was impacted by Bill. I probably wouldn't be sitting up here had he not helped encourage me to run, and then supported me heavily throughout that. I'm glad I had that opportunity to get to know him, and really wish that he was here longer so that we could have learned more from him. The first rider event was really awesome. Transportation, I mean, we all have to deal with rain or shine right now, and so it was raining, but still, I'm not sure how many kids showed up, but there were a lot of kids there taking bus rides, getting snacks that were provided, sponsored throughout the community, getting to meet their bus drivers. It was really, really neat to watch. Sports are definitely already underway. I left a sporting event to come here tonight, and they were rain or shine also yesterday. I know Senior Sunrise is tomorrow morning, so good luck to all the seniors this year and all their parents that are going to be watching them go through these last firsts this season. And then just a reminder to everyone to be engaged. I know not many people are probably watching this. I know there are actually a lot of sporting events happening tonight. But whether it's a levy ask year or not, like, we don't want to be up here asking for the community to give us more money. We want to have what we need to support our students and our staff. So whether it's levy or not, we want our community to be engaged. Come to these meetings. They can be fun, right? Come to these meetings, watch the recordings. We're having these Let's Talk events because we want our community to be informed. We volunteer our time at community coffee/office hours because we want you to have the opportunity to come and ask your questions and be heard. And we want you to reach out to our local government in the state of Ohio as well. Like, we're working really hard to do what we can do, and we need a push from everyone out in the community to do the same. Two things can be true at the same time. Like, we can want our community to support our students, and we can ask for change. And we just need to keep doing that. These meetings are come and go. If you want to come for part of it, you can come and then you can leave. The camera's not watching you come and go. So please put these on your calendar. I'm done now with my series of random thoughts.
Thank you. Mr. Keller.
It's here, finally, the start of another year, or the first year, whether you're year one as a student, year 13, or I think we had staff 33 or more. Make the most of it. Enjoy it.
Yes, welcome back to all the students and staff, teachers alike. Good luck to the parents. I did see a reel the other day that I thought was really cute. Maybe Marysville can implement this for incoming freshmen that get dropped off. All of the upperclassmen are there as they get dropped off, and they're standing there with signs and they're cheering them on as the freshmen get dropped off. But the freshman student has to kiss their parent that drops them off, or they don't get welcomed into the school. So I thought that was a really great idea. Maybe that's something that we can implement here at Marysville. So
Tanya, the freshmen do get a big welcome, but you don't have to kiss your mom or dad before you come in. So that's the one thing that we are missing. I
think we're missing that. I think it's a great way to show respect to your parent and show that you're a good kid.
My son will be coming to visit you and have some thoughts, but you can discuss it with him if you'd like to do that. I would appreciate it, but we'll see.
I thought it was great. I thought it was great because they were all really encouraging. They had signs, kiss your mama, and I thought it was great. But yes, engage with each other, not on social media, spreading misinformation about, this potential levy and our school funding. If you want to rant, contact your local state representative or senator, because they have really messed up our school funding, and it is very not equitable the way that they just kind of blanket these changes that really harmed specifically our school district, and I'm sure many others. So that's it.
I think we need to refer that matter to the policy committee so we can get that official, maybe. But no, that's a good thought. It is not hazing at all. It's loving. Anyways, thank you everyone for their time and efforts preparing for this meeting. Welcome back to school. I know it's going to be a great year. I do also need to mention that I'm a part of the federal legislative advocacy group through OSBA, and COSBA will have a conference on September 21st through the 23rd. I was selected to actually attend this year, so I've been a part of this, but I'm attending this year. Our focus will be hopefully on the IDEA funding, so not to throw another piece of bad news out there, but there's a lot of federal regulations around special education, and sometimes these regulations are actually very well meaningful, and really we should have these regulations in place. When IDEA was passed in the 70s, the federal government had made a promise to gradually fund their portion. However, they have not kept that promise. Surprisingly, some of our representatives or senators are still serving, maybe. A couple of them are from those times now. So what our push is going to be is 40% by 2040. And so I'll be doing a deep dive here, hopefully soon, in special education, understanding what the regulations are and their funding. We have a meeting with Senator Marino's office, reaching out to Representative Jim Jordan. I'll be with the board president of Urbana schools. So we'll kind of see, in our congressional district, we'll see kind of Marysville, which is kind of a larger district compared to Urbana, but we'll be both representing our congressional district, and we should meet with both senators. We do have a meeting with Senator Marino scheduled, but also other board members across the nation. This is going to be one of our focus topics, and so looking forward to that, and I'll report back out. I think we'll meet soon. I have to look at the calendar before I leave, but just wanted to make sure everyone's aware of that. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, I can take I have a recommendation to adjourn.
I'll make a recommendation to adjourn.
We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All right.
I'll
Sorry.
second that.
A lot of people want to stay for more conversation. So we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. At 7:56, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming tonight and tuning in.